Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Woodstock, Georgia, it's time for Cherokee Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to Cherokee Business Radio. Stone Payton here with you this morning, and you are in for a real treat. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Alma Coffee, sustainably grown, veteran-owned, and direct trade, which means, of course, from seed to cup, there are no middlemen. Please go check them out at myalmacoffee.com and go visit their Roastery Cafe at 3448 Holly Springs Parkway up in Canton. Ask for Leticia or Harry, and please tell them that Stone sent you. All right, first up on Cherokee Business Radio this morning, please join me in welcoming to the broadcast from Pie Bar, Miss Lauren Bolden. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it is such a delight to have you come into the studio. Pie Bar has become already one of my staples, one of my favorites, as many of our listeners know. I'm very close to making my home here in Woodstock. Holly and I are moving from East Cobb out here. The studio's already been here for a few weeks. I'm learning that whole stretch. I've met most of the bartenders. And I've been into the Pie Bar. You're probably about right up there, even with Reformation and Truck and Tap and Daily Draft. I try to spread the wealth, you know. And I have had personally the pleasure of enjoying some of the pies, of course, and I was sharing with you before we went on air. What a genuine hero you made of me the other night. We had dinner with what, gosh, am I going to say this on air? What may very well be future in-laws. My youngest, Herbo, Matt, his parents, we went over there. And at any rate, I was a real hero because I showed up with all these marvelous slices of pie. But I have been so looking forward to having you come in the studio. Would love to get the backstory. But before we even go there, mission, purpose, just day in, day out, what are you hoping to do for folks with this business that you and your husband run? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. So we started back in 2015. My husband, Cody, and I thought, well, we're 25 at the time. We didn't own a home or have kids, and we didn't love doing what we were doing with our normal jobs. And we thought, well, shoot, let's just quit and open a pie shop, like most normal people do. And so at the time in 2015, there was no purpose other than to get out of regular jobs and to start our own thing. As we've grown, we've kind of shifted from open the doors and survive every day to really starting to consider, what are our core values and what are the things that we want to put out there to our guests and to our team. So right now, what we tell our team is we're here to create a space to make people happy. We want to bring people joy through pie. And so we really build that into our core values. We build that into the way we're connecting with our guests. And so for us, our purpose is, yes, to make great pie. That's super important. But even more than that, we want people to come in and feel really welcomed. We want our team to feel really excited about what they're doing. And overall, we just want to be a positive place in the community.
So let's talk about team for a moment, because my suspicion already, we're 45 seconds into today's show, my suspicion is if it were you or your husband behind the counter, you could virtually guarantee that you would absolutely create that environment.
Kind of. Have you met Cody?
I have not met Cody. So, okay.
We used to get a lot of customer complaints about that guy with the red beard.
We put Cody in the back now.
Yeah, so we had to transition pretty quick.
Well, okay, maybe that's the answer to my question, because where I was headed with this is with how do you identify, recruit, develop a team that can help you live into that vision to create that environment like you described?
Golly, it is so hard, and it's something that I think just team building and leadership is something I really work and think about every day. I've definitely made right choices with certain team members, and then, people come and go, and maybe it wasn't the right choice. And over the past almost 6 years, we've really started to learn that we can train people to do just about anything. So if they work in the back of house, we can train them how to bake the pie. If they work in the front of house, we can teach them how to slice the pie. But in reality, it comes down to like being really positive, having a great attitude, and being excited to be a part of something. And so when we interview, I don't spend a ton of time asking them about their skills necessarily. I want to know a lot more about their personality and to see if they would be a really good fit for our team that way. So we spend a ton of time with our team trying to figure out what they're excited about, what we can do to take their talents and pour those into Pie Bar so that their time with us is beneficial not only for the organization, but also for them. Because I say it for some of them. I always say, like, you're never leaving. But in reality, I know, of course, they all will, one day. And when they do leave, we want them to take away tremendous experience and be able to say, I didn't just go here for a paycheck. Because in reality, working in food, you're not going to get the highest paycheck. They can go work somewhere else for a bigger paycheck. But so for us, it's figuring out a way to really build in their passions and find a way to incorporate things they're excited about to serve our guests really well.
Okay, so my next question is the title of your next book. Why pie?
Why pie?
Why not beer? Why not a consulting firm? Why not whatever?
I joke all the time. What a mistake. Pie is so hard to make. No, it's not hard to make. I take that back. I think pie is it's not difficult to make. It's just labor intensive. So our team is there 7 days a week making pie, and it is a lot of work, just physically and mentally. I always joke I should have opened Brownie Bar because it would have been a lot easier to do brownies. The true answer is so embarrassing, but back before I opened Pie Bar, I was the kind of kid that grew up watching a movie and wanted to be everything they saw, whether it was appropriate or not. And so I just constantly changed. Like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And so a couple years into my marriage with Cody, he was like, dear God, pick something. He's like, I'm so sick of this. And it just so happened that my obsession at the time was pie. So coupling that with, I worked at the governor's office at the time. And so we were a young staff of about 70 people. And so there was always a birthday. And so I would bring pie. And I really liked the positive feedback. They were so excited because usually it was just a sheet cake from the grocery store. And so I'd come in with a homemade pie. So coupled between Cody saying, lady, pick one, and people saying, well, this pie's pretty good, I thought, well, shoot, I should just make these pies and I can sell them for a living. I think this sounds like a great idea.
Wow.
Only somebody at 24, 25 would think that.
Now, did you and Cody need to go learn how to make pies at scale?
Wouldn't that have been a good idea?
Well, I admit.
No. Yes, we should have. When we started Pie Bar, in reality, I had just transitioned from the governor's office to the Office of Planning and Budget. So I was a budget specialist for the state of Georgia. Sorry, guys. And while I was there, I thought, well, this is great. Like, I've got some extra time. I go to work, come home. And so I spent a lot of time when I came home baking lots of pies. And I started just doing farmers markets. I sold at Reformation Brewery. I sold at antique shows. Truly, I had no shame. I would ask anyone, can I sell pie here? And I would do it. And so one summer, maybe this summer of 2014 or the summer of 2015, right before we opened, it was 2014. So right in 2014, we were every weekend, I was doing the Woodstock Farmers Market on Saturday. Yeah. I was doing on First Fridays, I would do Reformation. Saturday mornings, I'd do the Farmers Market. Saturday nights, if there was a concert, I would sell at the Woodstock City Concert. And then Sunday mornings, I would do the Marietta Square Farmers Market. And so it just got to the point where it was like, you gotta pick one. So I decided to quit my job, and I had never baked in a commercial kitchen except for about a month or two. I rented out a commercial kitchen space from someone and used their oven. And other than that, I had baked everything at home always, like a few pies at a time. And then suddenly, I guess we thought, well, we'll just open the store and I'll bake a little bit every day, not anything serious. And 6 years later, we now have like a 2,000 square foot kitchen with walk-in refrigerator and freezer and capacity to do like 64 pies at a time, and something that I have definitely grown into. Did not get there except from trial and error.
So speaking of trial and error, and knowing that you two, God bless you, you kind of jumped off the ledge there, which I'm inspired by, a little surprised by, actually. But are there a few? I'm not even going to ask if there were a few surprises. That's a silly question. Of course there were. Are there a few surprises that came your way that really stand out for you? Some things you learned through that process that really stuck for you?
Oh, yes. Yes. I would say I don't think I realized how important people are when it comes to a small business. And what I mean by that is both sides. Like, I thought, well, I would just bake all of the pies and Cody will help out up front, and that'll be it. Like, it'll just be the two of us. And so hiring people and training people has been something that was really surprising. I would say the majority of my time now is spent on the people aspect of Pie Bar.
Isn't that interesting?
Lots and lots of time there. So that was surprising. On the looking out towards like guests and customers, it was really surprising. I thought people would just come in and buy a slice, and I'd see them every now and then. And just the level of connection and relationships that we've been able to build with people has been truly surprising.
And some of us are like Norm at Cheers. We don't come in now and again. We come in, oh boy, I'm going to Woodstock.
Right. Well, it's so neat. It's exciting because I never anticipated we would have regulars at a pie shop.
Right.
And that sounds so funny, but truly we'll see. I've seen people come in and they'll have just gotten married, and then a year later they'll be pregnant, and I will then see them 3 days after they've had their baby. And it's just really exciting to be able to be a part of a place that is so special to so many people, which is really cool.
Okay, now the title of my next book.
Yes.
Why Woodstock?
Oh man, Woodstock is special. It really, I mean, you moved here, or you're moving here, right?
We're almost here. By the way, to give our listeners, because sometimes our listeners will listen to our material a year, 2 years later. Where we are now is we're just about into the spring of 2021. Some indications are that we're getting a handle on this whole pandemic thing, and so things are loosening up a little bit, but it's it's still a little bit tentative. And me personally, in my personal life, I'm in the process of moving from East Cobb, a suburb here in Atlanta, Georgia, to the Woodstock community. And we've had this studio here, I don't know, maybe 6-8 weeks. So that's kind of where we are from a timing standpoint. But yes, very, very soon.
You'll be a Woodstockie.
Yeah.
It is a fluke that we ended up here, but it was a choice to open Pie Bar in downtown Woodstock. So when Cody and I got married, I was working in downtown Atlanta and he was working in Jasper. And
oh my.
Right. So it was like, well, what's in between? And it happened to be Cherokee County. And so we moved to Woodstock, and for the first couple of years, we were just kind of members of the community, going to local restaurants and bars, a lot of Reformation back before it was in downtown, which was really cool.
So it hasn't always been.
No.
It has since I've been coming.
I know. Yeah. So they were actually down Arnold Mill. So back before all of that, we would come and support downtown Woodstock, and thought, well, that's a pretty cool spot. And then when we started selling at markets, the people in Woodstock truly were so passionate about supporting a small business. And by small business, I meant one girl standing in a tent in July trying to sell them pie that looked horrifying, to be honest. It's 100 degrees at 7 a.m. in Georgia in July, and I'd be trying to sell them a piece of pie. And the fact that we had regulars at the farmer's market was so tremendous for us that when it was time to open, we knew we had to open our, at the time we thought only store, but we knew we had to open in a place that was excited to see us, and downtown Woodstock was that.
Okay, you just opened up a line of interest here. You have more than this store here?
We do, yeah.
All right, we'll talk about,
Yeah, so we opened our second retail location actually back in August. So in January of 2020, we sat down and did our vision casting and found a beautiful space we were so excited about on the Marietta Square, and signed a lease there. And then, I don't know if y'all know this, but in March of 2020, the world closed.
Oh my goodness.
So we signed the lease January. March happened. We kind of pushed through. We were really, really fortunate. The landlords are really great and super understanding. And so we were able to get the work done, and we opened up in August. So that's our second retail store. And then we have a commissary kitchen, which is where all of our back of house team works out of, which is the third location in Kennesaw.
Oh my.
So we're a team of about 16. A little over half are full-time team members. And so we're really fortunate to get to make that much pie every day to support so many people.
How in the world, and maybe you don't know, but how in the world have you thrived with all of the chaos around us, which right now very much includes this pandemic?
Well, it goes back to, again, the people really are huge. So on both sides, on team member sides and guest sides. Team member sides, when everything happened in March, we kind of had a sit down with them and all of our full-timers. We were just like, hey, we don't want you to go anywhere. We want to do whatever we can to keep you here. And none of them wanted to leave. We're really lucky. Wow. There's a lot of places that people were happy to go on unemployment or were happy to leave and find other jobs. And we didn't want any of them to leave. And we were really fortunate that none of them wanted to leave us. And so we joked, but we kind of quarantined our entire back of house team in our Kennesaw kitchen. And we're like, this is where, like, I didn't even go in. I would kind of just stand outside the first couple of months, or I would plan on getting there earlier than them or coming in after them because I didn't want to interact with our back of house team because that's kind of the core of where all the pies are made. So that was a big one, is our team saying, no, we're standing by this. Like, we want to continue to make pie because this is what we're passionate about and the people want it. And then our guests rallied. I mean, they did not want to see small businesses close, and we're really fortunate. I mean, I had people that for a little over a month, Cody and myself and Vivian, this is before we opened Marietta, so we only had the one store, we worked every shift 7 days a week. And we kind of joked that the three of us were in our own pod, and every day at lunch we would send Cody over to Reformation and he would get us one beer because we couldn't have too many, we're serving guests, but he would go over and get us one beer and he would pour it into 3 cups and we would all have our 1/3 of beer to deal with getting
discipline.
the rest of to get through the rest of the day. And so we would all have our 1/3 because what we did was we shortened our hours and our guests would come and do curbside. So for weeks and weeks, the three of us would they would call, we would run outside and bring their pies. And they wanted to see our team succeed. So we started doing like a tip pool. And so any tips that were coming in over a certain amount, we're pulling. And we still do that where it goes to our entire team as opposed to just the individual running it out.
Okay.
And it really comes down to the people on both sides again.
Well, and yes, I absolutely agree. And I can just hear it when you describe what you lived through and how you chose to approach things. Resourcefulness, resilience. I mean, you guys are serious about
very much. I think resourcefulness is the nice way to say, like, super cheap. I'm always like, well, we don't really need that. We'll wait on that, It's like painful to think about, like, oh, we need a new refrigerator. Like, can we just squeak by I would rather spend the money on our people and as opposed to buying crazy things for the stores. So, I mean, we shared one beer, for God's sake.
I cannot. I don't think I could have my business that close to Reformation. That I don't have that level of discipline at all. You are so enthusiastic. You're almost. My dad would call you a bright penny. But so you clearly enjoy the work. You enjoy the people. You enjoy the community. And I would be interested to know when it's not the best day of the week and things aren't going quite right, or you need a recharge. Where do you go for inspiration? Do you read? Do you have a mentor? Like how do you, as a business owner, do whatever you got to do to get back out of that and go get it done? That's
hard, and I think there's no one size fits all. Like there's never. It depends on what the issue is and the day is. And I can tell you, I've definitely transitioned over the past 6 years, and I'm sure it'll continue to change. When we first opened, I did not know how to handle the stress or the pressure, or the anxiety. And so the first couple of months when we opened, every morning I would just sob. Like I was so unhappy, and my stomach would just like be in knots. And every customer that came in, I was so afraid to see, because I was afraid of what they would say, good or bad. I just didn't know how to process it. Yeah. And then I went through the period of being like really angry. That was the processing. Anything that happened, I would internalize and turn into anger. And unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of people go through this in terms of you take it out on someone. And so my poor husband, Cody,
poor Cody,
poor employees. I didn't know it at 25, 26, I'd never led anyone. And so I was angry all of the time because, again, I didn't know how to process the stress around things. And so I would point the finger and say like, oh, it's because of this or because of them or because of you. And so fortunately worked through that one. And I'm now in the compartmentalize zone, which if anybody is listening as a therapist, don't call in because I don't know if that's good or not. But I've learned to be able to accept things will not change immediately. And I need to kind of rely on the people around me in a positive way and not in an angry way. And that sometimes I just need to go to bed. I need to go to bed because nothing good's going to happen from this. I just need to move on. And most likely the next day I'll see it in a different way. And if that doesn't work, there's this bar called the Shuffle Inn in Canton. And if it's a really bad one, I'll call Cody. And I'll be like, let's go get some gin and tonics. He's like, great, see you at the Shuffle.
Oh, that is funny. Now, as we wrap, do you feel like you've found the edges? And what I mean by that, have you found your business model? You've cracked the code. You're in your groove. You're just going to be heads down. You're just going to do this thing. Or are you also sort of looking beyond and looking for different markets, different distribution methods, or anything like that, or a little of both?
A little bit of both. I will say we've never been in a place where we are now with the level of talent that we have, the level of income that we're seeing in terms of revenue for our stores. And that's exciting. It's exciting to be able to say, okay, we're going to have some opportunities soon. And figuring out what is that right move is really scary, but also really exciting. Yeah. We talked to our leadership team a lot about there's kind of these like A, B, and C places. And A is like, okay, here's the idea. This is what we want to do. And then C is like the fruition of that. And B is kind of the part nobody wants to do, which is the hard work part. And I think that ABC model happens a lot. Like it refreshes a lot. So when we first opened, ABC was like, A, we should open a store. C was like, the store will have customers. And B was like getting up every single morning and baking all of the pies and being there every day. And over the past 6 years, that ABC model has refreshed. And now we're in the place where it's like, A is our team. We've got this really, really talented team. And C is they want to contribute in ways that I need to make possible for them, whether that's a new store or stores.
That's an interesting frame right there. That's leadership. What you just say that again. You're wanting to create.
I wanted one store, period. I didn't want to open multiple stores, but then you get these people in that are so passionate and you are telling them, don't go here, stay with me. Yeah. I need to create opportunity for them and I need to create it in a sustainable way, which is why it took 5 years to open a second store. And so for us, it's like, that's where we are now is like, we sat down and maybe February, so not long ago. And I said, like, we're in the B right now. Like the next 12 months is going to be hard work. Like we need to figure out our processes and our procedures. And yes, now we've opened 2 stores, but we've never opened 3 stores. We need to be prepared for that, And so we're in the B currently to get to the C, which is hopefully opening that 3rd store in the next 12 to 16 months.
Oh, fantastic.
Fingers crossed.
That's awesome.
Well, we're definitely going to keep an eye on you and continue to follow your story. Congratulations on the momentum. Thank you so much for coming to visit with us. Let's make sure that our listeners know how to get to the different points of this empire, whether they go storefront or website or email, phone, points of contact, whatever you feel like is appropriate.
Yeah, well, so we want to meet people where they are. So what we mean by that is our stores are open, downtown Woodstock and Marietta Square, but we want to serve them in a way that makes them feel comfortable. So we offer curbside. All they have to do is when they arrive, they can call and we'll bring it out.
Cool.
We joke with our front of house team members. We tell them if you jog, people will tip you more. And so it's funny. You'll see me just out there just jogging to different cars, which during cold weather is fun. During the summer was not fun.
Right.
So we'll see this year, but we're doing curbside. We've got limited dine-in in both stores, as well as local delivery through Grubhub. So we're trying to be really resourceful there in order to reach guests where we can. Yeah. We're open 7 days a week at both locations. So we're excited to serve you pie every single day of the week.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, 7 days. There's no day that you should not have pie. And we try and really engage online a lot. So we use two main platforms. For social, we use Instagram every day, and our team is the one who is actually engaging there. It's not just myself or our GM, Vivian. It's our entire team. A lot of days we'll log into our account and respond to people, which is really exciting. It kind of gives them, again, an opportunity to interact with our guests in a different way. So that's just pie_bar. And then we use our email a lot. So if people just go to our website, which is orderpiebar.com, a pop-up will show up, or they can scroll down to the bottom and subscribe to be on our newsletter list. And I send out an email every week. And so the email that went out today was like, hey, Pie Day's coming up. Like, let's talk about why this is important for our business. And we get pretty real in it. And we talk about like, this is a leap for us. And this is like really important for us to share this with you, as opposed to just like, hey, come in and buy stuff. we really like to kind of open up about what the state of our business is, like overall, financially, mentally, piely, all of those things. So that is us. And hopefully we can kind of connect with people those ways.
Well, what a delight to have you come visit with us this morning. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. We are going to continue to follow your story. I hope you'll come back sometime. I hope you'll bring Cody with you and or maybe a team member.
Oh, that would be so fun. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
And maybe some pie.
And maybe some pie.
I've got a surprise for y'all. Oh.
Hey, listen, how about hanging out with us for a few minutes while we visit with our other guests?
I would love to do that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, next up on Cherokee Business Radio, we have with us, with Vulcan Engraving and Promotions, LLC, Mr. Jay Johnson. How you doing, man?
Stone, good to see you.
I'm so sorry you have to follow that. That's not an act I would want to follow.
Talk about hiring people. She needs to be my marketing person.
Yeah, no kidding. So did you learn anything in that last segment?
I did. I really learned about a lot about the important parts of small business, and that is the people.
Well, you heard, yes, we talked about pie a little bit, but the whole theme of that entire conversation was about people. And then it just blew me away toward the end where she's talking about, she genuinely feels a sense of purpose and maybe almost obligation. I got to create opportunity for these good folks.
Right, absolutely. Unbelievable. She's got it all figured out, and that's great. Most of us struggle just to find our day, to the end. So there you go.
All right, tell us a little bit about this work of yours, mission, purpose. What are you out there trying to do for folks, man?
What we do is our tagline is you can't sell a secret. And most of the times...
I like that.
Yep. And most of the times we'll put people's name and sales message on things that they can use as currency, giving to guests, family, thanking employees for a good job well done, etc. And that's what we like to do.
All right, so for us here at Business RadioX, both at the network, my day job, and here in this studio, which is kind of my semi-retirement job, but in both cases, branding is very important.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of folks out there, particularly now, not so much 15 years ago when I started, But there are a lot of folks that are trying to capitalize on this same medium. Like my nephew has a podcast. That's a very different thing than what we're trying to do. So branding the Business RadioX network, the logo, all of that is very important to us. So we have over the years tried to put some real attention and care toward how we carry the brand, what we put it on, that kind of thing. So you have virtually anything you can think of. You can put a logo or a message on, from a water bottle to a baseball bat, right?
Yeah, correct. We have the machines that will either do banners, stickers, magnets, or will also engrave. We'll also do embroidery, etc. The cool part about it is that we can address just about every need. We don't do a lot of things in paper. One of the reasons is because it's hard to do just one sheet of paper for somebody if they need stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You'll have to do bulk amounts, and that's something that we just don't do.
Okay, so it strikes me that in one sense, you should be able to go out to the community and market what you do. I mean, to me, it makes sense that everybody would need something. For me, I'm a hat guy, so I want to get hats. We were talking about that before we came on. Maybe a briefcase or a shirt, that kind of thing. At the same time, it seems like it would be an incredibly crowded arena. Like there would be a lot of people out there. I'm operating under the impression that the barrier to entry would be pretty low. That people could get out and try to represent this kind of thing. How, A, am I accurate? Is that true? Is it a crowded arena? And B, how do you get above the fray?
Well, the good part is because the business is run out of my home, I don't have the overhead costs that other people do. My business and my office is in my home, so I don't have the rents and things that other businesses do.
Oh, okay.
But also, we try and deliver first-class service. Many times somebody will order an item that needs to be embroidered or engraved or whatever, and it may take 2 or 3 weeks at another store. We try and turn this stuff around in an average of about 3 days. And also we include delivery and pickup of their items or whatever they need, their personal items and stuff, included in the price. So we do all that type of stuff, COVID-friendly type of things.
Well, there you go. So, okay, let's talk about COVID-friendly. We talked in the last segment a little bit about making some adjustments and being resourceful and finding ways to serve people with some of these challenges. What is it specifically that you decided that you at least want to make available with regard to this pandemic thing?
Well, what we've done is we've all of the items that we make and our manufacturing people touch they're all sprayed with a water-based disinfectant. So anytime you get something from us, before you get it, we have treated it for disinfectant, and you'll get it free of any germs and all that type of stuff. And then we'll deliver it for free. So nobody has to come to my store, or nobody has to come to my home, or nobody has to come to look at anything. Everything can be done either over the internet or through delivery of samples, etc.
So we're back to what Lauren was talking. We're back to people. In this case, it's
people.
I think we call it the J factor. You want to call it that, Lauren?
I think we should. We've coined it here.
The J factor. No, seriously though, because we're sitting here. You guys can't see it on the air. There's a few of these promotional items sitting on the table. One of them is one of those little baseball bats like you sometimes get at the game.
Great for Little League.
But someone else in town could create that exact thing.
Correct.
It's just the J factor.
It is the J factor, and
okay.
it's also the in my business you can match anybody's price, but delivering the services, the speed, etc., is really key.
All right, backstory. How in the world does one get in this kind of business? Everybody else was playing Cowboys and Indians, and you thought, well, not me, man. I'm going to do this.
I had a great job in the past with an airline, and also with an outdoor company, and they put their name on everything. Literally, if they could put it on the TP in the airplane's bathroom, they would do it. And it was on the chairs and on the seats, on the books, on the as salespeople, we would market with all these items and got fascinated by it. At the outdoor company, if somebody would purchase a boat, we would give them a Yeti cup with their names on it, and it was such a remarkable marketing tool that
they'd buy a $25,000 boat, but this. Well, I guess a Yeti mug, that might be, those aren't cheap, but a $20 mug was a big part of the whole thing, the whole experience, right?
It personalized their purchase, and it made them feel comfortable in their purchase, and that's key.
All right, so let's talk about being smart, because this also strikes me as something you could just go berserk on and maybe not make wise decisions, and just, somebody like me buy the hats, buy the shirt, buy the mug,
Sure.
So what are some ideas, some do's, some don'ts, some disciplines, if you have any, about a small business person, getting the biggest bang for your buck? Where should you probably, at least in the beginning, if you're going to have a budget or you're going to dedicate some dollars toward this kind of thing, or is it all case by case?
It's all case by case, because everything is the purpose of the items. So, for instance, if your business requires you to have somebody sign something or whatever, pens are important. If you're going to make a presentation of paperwork, a portfolio would be important, etc. Those types of things. Coffee mugs within a business. I've gone to several of my banks that are national banks, and sure enough, I get a paper cup as I walk in there. Mm-hmm. To me, that's silly, because they should put their name on just about anything that they can think of inside that business. It's hard to do business when you don't know what people do. Before somebody walks in and sees me, they know what I do. I wear the shirts. I have the name tag on, and people know what I do, so I don't have to explain myself as much, and they remember me because of it.
All right, so I have no trouble at all believing that once someone meets you, has a conversation, some of the J factor starts, coming through, and you're like, you know what? Next time I buy hats, next time I buy shirts, whatever, I'm gonna give this J guy a shot. I like him. And again, it seems like it would be so crowded. How does the whole sales and marketing thing work for a guy like you? Like, how do you get to meet a Lauren at Pie Bar or Stone who's at the network? Do you do something strategically, or is it you're just out and about out there and it bubbles up? Or
well, because I'm the manufacturer and the salesperson and the accountant and the delivery driver, we're not to the point of hiring people to come work for us yet.
You don't have like a salesperson out there.
No,
shaking
I don't.
The bushes.
No, I don't. Everything's word of mouth with me, and the reason is because many times we professionally will have large quantities of things ordered. So it's not one at a time. I don't have to make 20 sales calls to sell 20 drinkware pieces. Right. Many times one person will buy the 20 drinkware pieces, which keeps us busy. The other thing is, too, I partnered up with a partner in Lawrenceville, and he's in the trophy business. So he does he specializes in all of our trophies, kids' trophies, and that type of work. He also does all the embroidery, etc. He's great at what he does, and I think I'm a great marketing guy, so I can sell him and he can sell me, and it works out fabulous. Our partnership has been wonderful between those two offices.
Okay, so for some of our listeners who may not have their own radio show or their own studio, what is the process for them to meet you and get a chance to look at product? How do they order a product, all that kind of stuff?
Right. The hard part is because it's custom, it's very, very, very difficult to put out a catalog or something that would cover everything that we do. Many times people come to us, let's say with a buttstock of a shotgun that Grandpa gave to them, and they want to put their name on it. I do that type of work, but how do you put that into a catalog?
Right.
So we really just rely on word of mouth for people to call us with an idea, something that they want, and we try and solve that problem that they come to us with.
Now, it's my understanding, the way that you and I met is here at the Innovation Spot, which is where the studio is. I mean, it's right in the heart of Woodstock. You could almost throw a rock from here to Lauren's Pie Bar.
Yeah,
it's certainly a nice little walk.
Listen, I wish I had her location. She is in a great spot.
You know what? We should go grab a third of a beer.
I know.
And a slice of pie.
Done.
I'm hungry.
But the way we met, you were out here with some kind of group, a small business group. Again, going back to just the climate here in Woodstock. But I get the sense that you're very involved in community, and I know for a fact because we talked about it a little bit before we came on air this morning. One such organization is an outfit called the Kiwanis, which of course I've heard of. Do you mind talking a little bit more about that organization, your involvement in it, that kind of thing?
I don't mind at all. I love giving back. I've had a very, very successful life in my past, and giving back to kids in the Cherokee County area that sometimes get forgotten or sometimes just need a little bump or some mentorship is really is a life calling for me. I'm kind of a religious guy, and it falls all into that from my soul.
And so the Kiwanis, they have a certain focus here, or is it a different focus in different communities? What's their mission purpose?
Well, they have different categories. Many times there'll be programs that will teach kids in the elementary level how to read or how to write. In K Kids, in the Key Clubs in the high schools, gives kids a chance to be leaders, a chance to build their resumes for the future, how to apply to colleges, how to use the Key Club to be a team member and to do some fundraising and get some really cool experiences in as a high school student. And then in college, they'll do the Circle K, which is also, again, leadership-oriented type things. It's fantastic for kids to have something to go to besides going home and working on a video game or working on their cell phone. And we hope we're trying to give kids these programs. The successful ones have been at the 3 high schools here, including Etowah High School and Sequoia High School. And they have just been sensational. The kids that come out of there really do a great job in mentoring other youth, other youth and how to get going in schools, and et cetera. Kiwanis is built around making sure that children have a chance and giving kids an opportunity to be the best that they can be, whether they have the funds, whether they don't have the funds. There's programs that they can get involved with. We're a worldwide organization over at Kiwanis, and it's just been tremendous back to us, too, because all of us are of the age where we would like to do something for kids that need it.
Well, and my hair is gray enough that y'all might let me in that club.
Well, we have young people, too. We've got several. My son's a member at 25, and he loves it, so...
Now, we also talked briefly, another thing that kind of struck a chord with me was trying to support kids as they're coming out of the fostering. You had a term for it. They're getting too old. They don't.
There's a program up in Waleska called Angel House that we're a big partner with, a young lady named Victoria Hill, who got involved with the Miss America pageant situation setup. Really took the adoption programs to another step up here in Cherokee County. And all of us have gotten involved in the Angel House setup to make sure that girls that kind of age out of being adopted or looking to be a young person that gets adopted, it gives them a place to be mentored to get them back in school, to give them a safe place to live, et cetera. That's not offered by a lot of the government programs and things. The government offers them a lot of great programs for them to go to schools and stuff, and it just takes that little push to make sure that they take advantage of them.
Well, transition, I suspect, is tough at organizations, individuals, but it's probably even more so if you don't have some sort of support system. And when I think of support system, you were talking about teaching kids to read. I mean, I've had a fairy tale life. My mother taught kids to read for a living. She was an elementary school teacher when I was that age. And I mean, what a great head start, right? To have, and so it's that's just I've been very blessed in a lot of ways, and that's only one of them. But when they get to this aging out thing, I think you called it, to have a support system, there's just someone to tell them you can do it. That I would think the mindset would be as important as any of the actual resources, yeah?
Absolutely. That's the thing. Sometimes you don't have to tell a young adult how to do stuff. You just have to show them. You just have to talk about your successes in your life and things that have worked for you, and all of a sudden it starts to work for them. It's not that easy, though, with some of these kids. They need some real serious help, right. but they get it. And it's been so rewarding for all of us at Kiwanis. Kiwanis, we also have to do background checks and things to deal with the youth, and there's a lot of rules and things that we have to go by to make sure that the kids are not exposed to problems. But because of that, we're able to offer a lot of neat things for them.
All right, but Kiwanis sounds like a marvelous place for anyone. I was going to say a business person, but anyone to plug in, and particularly if they have a heart for trying to do a little something to support kids at these different transitions, is what comes to my mind, at these different stages. Okay, let's talk about me for a little while. I mean, it is my show.
I'm ready.
I'm just now kind of beginning to get introduced to the Woodstock, and it's not just Woodstock; it's really Cherokee County, because I've met the folks, the golf cart guys up in Canton. We're going to have them on the show. So Ryan,
I love it.
and maybe before too long you'll see a Business RadioX or Cherokee Business Radio golf cart. But I'm getting kind of introduced to some of the local businesses. I had the pleasure last week, actually. I joined the In Woodstock thing, and I went to. It was a very intimate setting, but it was like a conference room over here, right up the street here at Chattahoochee Tech. And this gentleman did a marvelous presentation. I got to meet some folks there with the economic development folks, and so I'm beginning to see visible evidence of what Lauren was describing in our last segment about just how supportive this local business community is. But the reason I say let's talk about me for a minute is your council. You've been here a while. You really do know the business climate here. As a guy like me who's trying to get this, something like this off the ground, this local neighborhood studio, where should I be putting my energy? Are there organizations I should tap into? What's your advice? Aside from, I'm sure I should get a gross of water mugs with my logo on them.
Well,
I mean, that's a given, right, Lauren?
Yes, he's already placed an order for you.
Absolutely. One of the greatest parts about being in a smaller but successful community like Woodstock and Cherokee County in general is that you can go to events and do more networking, and you can join organizations and do more networking than you could possibly do with mass mailing or something like that. Not that doesn't work for some businesses, but people buy, in my opinion, people buy you in your business. They're going to buy your personality. They're going to love on you because they want to listen to you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I got to get my own J factor going, don't I, Lauren?
We're going to need to work on it.
No, and that's what you do for this community. I listen to you constantly, and I love it. We have a common member that's also part of a Friday group with you, and so I just love it. But that's the key, is getting involved. This town has more events to get involved with. You just got to pick and choose what suits what you're looking to get for. If you're just trying to do it for the general public, go to a general public type event. We do, like I was mentioning to you earlier, the 4th of July parade. Doesn't sound like much, but decorate your car, drive down with the Radio X, with the Business RadioX sign on it, and all of a sudden you would not believe how many types of people are going to get in touch with you and want to do business with you that way.
Well, now you've inspired me. We're going to get the golf cart. We got to get the golf cart before July. We got to get you or somebody. We got to get Business RadioX stuff put on it.
That's right. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to do that kind of stuff, but people buy you in this world, and that's the key to it. Listen, the Pie Bar is successful because you're somebody that everybody wants to know.
Well,
and they do because I can just tell your passion for it. Unbelievable. I have the enthusiasm, but I certainly don't have the youth like you do, and be able to go forward that way. I love it. I'm going to be your new customer.
Well, thank you.
Well, it's going to be a great way for me to entertain as well.
All right, so let's circle back before we go, because I could stay here all morning talking about all of this. I want to make sure that our listeners know how to get in touch with you, have a conversation with you, and again, encourage them and help them understand it's not about looking in Jay's catalog for whether you want the blue pens or the red pens or the white shirt. You're going to sit down with them and help them think through what is the best way to execute a program with these resources that's going to help drive your business objectives. Yeah,
that's it. And we can direct you to a catalog that's my manufacturer that will allow you to look and shop that way if you want. If you're only looking for one item, I understand. But if you're looking for a group of items, definitely we can give you samples and all those types of things that make the decision much easier. all you need to do is call. You can check us at j@vulcanengraving.com, or at my telephone number is 678-777-6570. Remember, free delivery locally, local pickup of your items if it needs to be engraved that way, etc.
Jay, thank you so much for coming in and visiting, man. Thank you both for making this just a marvelous way to invest a Tuesday morning.
Thank you for having us. This is so fun.
Absolutely. This is great. And I'm going to be the biggest pie fan on the planet. You sold me.
I got you a new customer, Lauren. Yeah. All right. Until next time, this is Stone Payton for Jay Johnson and Lauren Bolden and everyone here at the Business RadioX family saying we'll see you next time on Cherokee Business Radio.